Hey guys, it's Tiny Tom Logan back with another video for you, and today we're going to be taking a look at the Dimastech Nano, which is a new MATX, quite a compact test bench that they've released. Now we need to do this slightly differently to how we would do like a normal video, so what I'm going to do is I'll bring you in for a closer look, and I'll bring the camera right in and I'll talk you through everything there and then my thoughts on it and all the price and everything, and we will eventually go back and have a little bit of a conclusion stroke wrap up at the end, because there's a few little things about these that I've got some thoughts on. But yeah, we're going to crack straight on. I'm going to get the camera in right now. Okay, in peeps, what I'm going to try and do is keep the camera where it is like that and then move the bench table around to show you everything. We will get to this thing that stood up here in a minute. What we'll do is we'll work our way around now. Now, you can see mine is like a satin stroke matte black powder coat, although you can get other colours. If you order from a website in the UK, then you'll get to select the colour that you want when you purchase it. So for example, they might only have white ones, or they might have a few colours in stock for you to choose from. If you want to order one directly from Dimastech, because you can do that and they will ship it to the UK, you can select your colour as well. One thing that you do need to remember is if you do select your colour, then they might not, like have it in stock, and they might have to do it for you as like a special request. And if they have to do that as a special request, it's not going to be sent out the same day, because obviously they're going to have to powder coat it especially for you. So just kind of keep those things in mind. I know there's a lot of people out there that are going to be completely aware of that, but you'd be amazed how many times I've heard people moaning about stuff and they've not realised that it's been a custom thing and doesn't just come straight off the shelf. Anyway, you can see that this is a very compact design and size. This is an MATX motherboard, just a standard MATX size, and you can see how close everything is round the outside. It is a very, very small footprint, which many of you may really like. I've got the V2 Easy, which does the normal ATX stuff with a little bit on the side, so it's a little bit longer. It's a bit taller as well because it has water cooling support, and this one doesn't. But what they're trying to do with the Nano and the Mini, which I will be reviewing in the not too distant future because I have got one here, is they're trying to make them a lot more compact to appeal to more people. But we'll talk about the specifics. We've obviously got the plate at the back here, which can be removed for your graphics cards, with 4 attachments on it, which is all you need for the MATX board really. Any more than that and the board's going to be hanging off. Anyway, we do have some cable routing holes on this side. One thing I will say about these cable routing holes is I would try and get all your cables and everything sorted out before you start putting the motherboard on. I really would think about what cables you're going to want to have fitted very, very soon in your build, so that you can make it easier, because especially once you get the power supply actually fitted, to show you the power supply bolts in the side here, but we'll come back to that. There's not much room underneath to be able to then get your hands up and get things all tidy and stuff. You can take the optical bays out, but we're skipping past stuff, so we'll go to the front. So we've obviously got 3 cutouts, a large one in the middle, which is obviously where you're going to end up putting your 24 pin through, and then we've got 2 at the sides. The 2 at the sides, these could be cable holes or something. Obviously this end you're going to be talking SATAs and your front panel connectors and stuff. It does have 2 switches on the front, which you can obviously have as power and reset. I wish that the coloured rings on these were separate colours, so you knew which one was power and which one was reset. Nicely, they do come with very well braided cables, but also they've come with all the connections for you to be able to wire up your the switches on the back, and then a selection of connections, which obviously one you can wire up as LED power, and one can wire up as hard drive LED as well, which is great. The braid is like a cloth braid. It's brilliant, like a paracord or like Bit Phoenix. It's much better than they have done before. The only gripe I have got, which I always have when they do this, is that they leave such a huge amount of cable at the ends. It really doesn't need to be that long, really. Or just use black cables. It'd be so much easier. But anyway, the fact that they've used a good braid, because all the other ones were they weren't a very good quality at all. So that braid is a big step up for Dimastech. So I do need to doff my cap for that. The one thing that they're still doing, which I need to kind of draw your attention to and explain why, is they've got a USB connector for the front that you can bolt in. I've just undone it from the packet. Now it bolts in and you'd think, yeah, wicked, bolt in the front, but problem, the USB connection is single-sided. As you can see, it's just one row, and with a USB there's 2 rows. Now it doesn't tell you anywhere which way round that you're meant to fit that connection, because obviously in the top row you can fit it both ways. And just to put it into context, how much difference it makes if you get this thing fitted in the wrong way round. If you put it the wrong way round and you put a USB stick in it, poof, USB stick is now dead. I know this because when I got the very first Dimastech that I reviewed, I had this in the wrong way round and I did blow a USB stick up. And all I've ever said is it would be nice if they had either a marking on it so it'd show you which end, or it was a full double bay USB. And if you have the double bay USB, you'd have one of the cables blocked off, so you'd only be able to fit it in one way. I don't think that would add much cost, maybe like 20 pence or something. And I think it would be a really nice addition to know that you can only get your cable in fitted in one way. So that's something that I've been saying that Dimastech need to change ever since I started reviewing their stuff. And the fact that they're still doing this and there's no guide or anything anywhere about which way round it's got to go. Yes, you could Google it and everything like that, but I'm just trying to draw these things because, to be fair, I just chucked it in there and, you know, just done that. And what happens if you just connected that up with a brand new 32GB stick, or it had loads of your photos and films or something like that on that you didn't have backed up anywhere else? It's only a minor thing, but it could make a massive impact. So that's one of the reasons why I've not even fitted it, because I just wouldn't use that and risk it where you can get it the wrong way round. Now, if we move round, I say move round, but if we have a look at the front, what we can see is we've got an optical bay connector here, so we can get that in, and then we've got a 3.5 inch mechanical hard drive mount here as well. Now, just to let you know, the way these go, you fit some little rubber grommets in the side of your mechanical, and then you slide it in. The mechanical's fine, but if you were to put a solid state drive here on a 2.5 inch to a 3.5 inch adapter that would go in here, they actually don't fit the back set of mounts. It's complicated to explain, but essentially the solid state drives have got the 2 closest mounts on the side, on the metal bits. These have got the real furthest ones away, and they don't line up. So that's just something to keep in mind, but a lot of you aren't really going to be that fussed about it, because you can put a solid state drive in the side here. Now if I put my hand in, what you can do is it slides out, but this is another little kind of thing, because of the switch here, you can't actually take the solid state drive out straight away. Now that's not too much of a problem, because you can unscrew these and then it comes straight out, but it's not as straight in and out as you would expect. That switch, you know, is just in the way and just fouls it, and you can't move it over any further for it to be able to line up. But once you've got it in there, I shouldn't see you, you know, wanting to remove it too much anyway. And this would probably be my favoured place of having it. And I don't really use opticals a lot, to be fair. The only time I use an optical is when a motherboard or something arrives and they've not got the board on their website yet, because obviously I get a lot of stuff before it even goes to the shops. And then the driver CD is the only time I really use them. Everything else I either download straight from the website so that I know it's the latest version, or yeah, do you know what I mean? You can get it on a USB stick or something like that and transfer it from another system. So I probably wouldn't use this anyway, and it would allow me to get more access underneath. I suppose I might end up using it for a mechanical if I was running, like on my big bench rig. I have a storage drive of a mechanical that I might be lumbered with this. But it's, again, it's each to your own, and how you set your own rigs up and everything. I do think, by the way, that they've got a USB 3 adapter now. So yeah, that's something to bear in mind for this. Now, moving on to the top, I've not got the board pushed completely on for a good reason. And that's because I wanted to take it off to be able to show you the, and I'll say I've not got it pushed. Apologies, pulled the mic out. It's very well in there. Basically, there's the fittings are push fit, and this is another thing that I wanted to show you. Is people kind of, they get worried that it's not going to be very strong, but they're very good. Now, if I need to make sure that I get these so that you can see that they've got little fitments on the top, so you can push the board on. Now, what I've also done, that way, Tom, there we go. Why I've also done this is you can see that we've there's only really one other option, and this is very much laid out for MATX, but these four here you could also use for MITX as well. Now, they're silver, I call them riv nuts because they're rivets, but they've also got threads in, R4. I'm just unscrewing it. The adjustable fan mount. Now, I've got a Corsair fan on here, it doesn't come with it, but essentially it's a bendable mount that you can fit where you want, so we'll fit it in this one. Although if we had the board on here, this wouldn't fit. But just to show you, you can direct it where you want, and that's kind of the point in this. Now, I had it put up in the top right hand corner because that's the only place I could fit it once the board was on. Now, if we were to put the board back on, essentially what you do is you push it over, you get it lined up with the fittings that you want, and then I would go around and start pushing them down. Once you've used them a few times, they do ease off. It's just when you get the first fitment, they're a bit tight and it can be a bit scary. But don't get too worried about it. It's, you know what I mean, that's the way they're designed to be. And obviously then you could have your fan pointing over your RAM, or, you know, whatever. Obviously you could have a big CPU heatsink, so you could end up having it there. Doesn't really matter, but as you can see, the reason why I took the board off and put it back on again is because now you can see we've covered up the other four mounting points for this. So that's that done. Now, as I said to you, I'm going to take this off just so it's out the way. As I said, we've got the power supply in the side, and if you imagine we've got 160mm power supply, there we go, if you imagine we've got 160mm power supply coming up to about here, so it comes away from that corner up to about here, there's not going to be a massive amount of room for your cables and stuff. So this is why I said, you know, plan ahead a little bit, get your cables in there first. If you want to, you can put them, you can see you've got the CPU cut out here. You could put some of your cables up through the CPU cutout and stuff if you want. But you've also got a gap in the side, and this really is your only, once everything's built and it's in there, this is your only kind of access point. Especially if you've got an optical in here and a mechanical and stuff, this is going to be your only way in to be able to start messing around with cables and stuff. Obviously you can put them out this side, but yeah, like I said, once you've got your power supply cable in there, this is going to be where you're going to be getting to, you know, push your cables through and stuff. So there we go, I'm just going to spin it back round again. You do get a little box with your screws. I've obviously used a lot of the screws already. but you have got spares there for hard drives, mounting in at the back here, so you can screw your graphics card in. It didn't come with any power supply screws, but then again, you get your own screws with power supplies anyway, so that's not too much of a problem. And it did only come with 4 SSD style screws, because an SSD and a mechanical have 2 different types of thread. A mechanical will have my camera's probably not going to pick it up, but a mechanical has a coarse thread, and the SSDs have a finer, which is an M3 thread. In fact, I could show you the 2 difference with these. That's the 2 different types of thread. You've got the mechanical on this side, and then what would be in an SSD on the other side. One's Imperial, which is this one, and this one's metric. Now, I don't know who that is. I'm assuming it's going to be a courier. So I'm going to stop the camera quickly and we'll be back. Right then, peeps, it was a courier. I do apologise, but we'll go straight into the conclusion now anyway, because I've pretty much covered everything. Now, we always start with an award. Now, I've actually filmed this beginning bit of the conclusion a couple of times now, because in my head I'm still kind of in 2 minds about the way I want to award this. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at it like this. I'm going to base the award on the fact that it is designed and aimed at being an MATX only test bench. And for that, I would say to put prices out there. If you, it's €79.99 on the Dimastech website, which at the moment, the current exchange rate, that puts it in at about £68.50. Pretty much all the other websites, when you do a direct comparison, there is a few quid extra on top for whatever reason in their pricing. So I think this is going to come in between the kind of £70 and £75 mark, maybe stretching up to £80 at some retailers, depending on where you get it, because not a lot of places do end up carrying these in the UK anyway. So we know the price. Now this is where things start to get complicated, because for that sort of money, the kind of cases you can get for 80 quid are pretty good. But when you're talking MATX test benches, there just aren't any really. You can get ATX test benches, but they're not going to be as well built as this. Now, it is going to be tight on space, but that's because of the motherboard that they've got on the top. And I think with the room that they've got available for this, the way it's laid out has been done really well. They've certainly made the most of the room that they've got available. We've obviously got the SSD bit on the side, which is great. The switch is a bit of a pain in the bum, but all you've got to do is undo 2 screws. So it's not as, just click, click, removable as you might have hoped. I really don't. I think that's just me being incredibly picky with that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say it's a gold award. I can't remember whether I've said it already or not. But like I said, that's based on the fact that it's a small form factor test bench. Now this is where if I was just reviewing it as a test bench, I would have awarded it a silver, because it does, once you've bought this, you are then obviously instantly limited to the small form factor boards. So it's not something that a professional is going to use, or an overclocker is going to use as a part of their whole test equipment, unless they know they're only ever going to be working with MATX boards. But I would have thought, long term, most people will end up buying if they know they're going to be changing kit, or you do what I do, or you're overclocking, benchmarking, whatever, they'll probably end up going for one of the larger ones, and then if and when they do end up using an MATX board, they'll just, it'll just be a little bit shorter. So it is a niche product, but it's one of those ones where if you, like I said, you say for instance you've just bought the Asus Maximus Genie, you're going to be doing that, you want to turn this into an open rig that you're going to have on your desk, and you want that small form factor, you don't want anything massive or anything like that, then this is obviously going to be the test bench for you. It's just one of those ones where you kind of you have to ask yourself, am I going to want to do this, am I going to want to do that, am I going to want to do something else? And if all of your answers kind of go back to the fact of I only really need an MATX, then why would you want to spend more, take up more room and all that kind of stuff? So, yeah, complicated. So based on the fact of it being small form factor, and we review it as being a small form factor one, it's gold, because it ticks all the right boxes. It does everything that you want to do. I know from previous experience that these things can take a battering, because I don't particularly treat mine very well. It gets moved around the office and everything all the time. There's hardware going on and off of it all the time. They do last. So if you're going to be doing this for a while, it is a great investment. Like I said, I'm still using my old one. The only time that I will change that now is I want to change the colour of it. That's it. I don't need to replace it. It's just I want a different colour one now, which is one of the reasons why I asked for this one in this lovely black colour. So based on that, I reckon it's probably going to come in around the £70 to £80 mark. I think most people will end up using this more as a base for a project, rather than using it, as I said, like a test bench in the way I would, to be fair. And that's about it, really. That really is about it. It's, like I said, it ticks all the boxes that you could want for something this big. It obviously lacks in water cooling. So for a bencher and stuff, if you were going to end up running water cooling and stuff, you'd have to think very carefully about the way you'd want to do it. Even if you had like an external rad on a stand or anything like that, the actual platform underneath is going to be very restricted as far as like pumps and stuff like that's going to be concerned. Because this is so much smaller, you are going to be extremely limited about where you can put stuff and bolt stuff down. So if you were thinking about a project like that, you will either have to be very clever with the way you mount stuff and plan it really well, or it will be too small and end up looking too cluttered, because there's no real ways of being able to get tidy hose or anything up. But yes, I don't want to expand any more on this. It is, as far as, like I said, as far as a small form factor one goes, or MATX, or however you want to put it, it is very much worth that gold award for that price, for that niche. But it's just, if you are going to be thinking about, bigger boards at a later date and stuff like that, you may be better off getting one of the other bigger Dimastech ones and just putting up with that missing, the extra bit that you're going to have for a little while if you do end up putting an MATX on it. But anyway, I'm going around in circles. I know you get the point. Please tell me you get the point. This was a complicated one for me to try and explain. But anyway, Dimastech. I keep wanting to call it the MIDI, but it's not. It's the Nano. So the Dimastech Nano test bench. Pretty good, but obviously for a very, very specific set of clients. But anyway, for those specific set of clients, if you're going to want a board like this, I don't think you're going to, if you want a bench like this, I don't think you're going to be able to find a better one, especially on the market at the moment, because I don't even think there is one. But anyway, so, gold award for it, and I'm not going to go on about it anymore. I know, I'm not going to say anymore. I have to turn the camera off, because if I don't turn the camera off, I'll start going round in circles again. So, I'm going to love you all, and leave you all. This is Tiny Tom Logan, with another video for you. Out.